Alright, today I'm reviewing the Ibanez RG652AHM Prestige. This is my own personal guitar, so I have changed the pickups in it. But this also means this review is not sponsored. And I can tell you how this guitar has been since I've owned it for several years now. So first let's talk about the quality of this guitar, and I can say this guitar has been pretty good. It's been above average. It hasn't been the absolute best guitar I have, but it's nowhere near the worst, and it's not mediocre either. I do have to mention that this color of bridge, I think it's the Cosmo hardware, but the finish is rubbing off on the saddles where my palm is, and it's also kind of corroding a bit on the edge. Pun not intended, but it is getting this kind of corrosion color right here, and it doesn't feel rough or anything. It doesn't feel dirty. And you can see on other guitars I have that have this color hardware, the finish is wearing off on the bridge too. So it's not unique to the 652. The bridge itself functions just fine. The fine tuners are nice and smooth as you would expect, and so are the tuners on the headstock. The body and neck do feel solid. There hasn't been any crazy tuning instability with this neck. It's not going to last for weeks on end without tuning. You're going to need to tune it. But it doesn't fall out of tune every other song either. It is above average in stability, I'd say. And that's tuning stability in terms of bowing, in terms of setup. I only had to set up this guitar like once. It's been just fine. I haven't been able to get the action as low as I typically like. I do like my action on the super low side. A bunch of my guitars, I have it all the way down to almost 1 millimeter of string height at the 14th fret. This one I have at about 1.25. And it's low enough. In order to get it lower, I think I'd have to do some drastic stuff, either with the frets or shims or something. And there's just no need to do that. This plays just fine. Another note on quality on the neck. These Prestige models, they either have some kind of oil or some kind of coating or something they put on the back of the neck to make it feel like it's been played in. And on this model, that was missing, which is no big deal because obviously I've played it and now it does feel like it's been played in because it's been played in. But that is kind of, I don't know, an annoying miss. For this price tag, you'd expect there not to be anything missing like that. Aside from that, there's nothing wrong with the electronics, with the potentiometers. They turn just fine, not too loose, not too tight. The switch works just fine too. Of course, I have replaced the pickups. But now let's talk about the playability and feel of the guitar. I have to say the neck profile on this guitar feels fantastic. It's just thin enough that playing fast stuff, not saying I'm a virtuoso or anything like that, but playing fast stuff is very easy to do, but it has enough meat to it where you can still grab onto it to play riffs, to play slower stuff, to play chords. It's a very satisfying neck to play. It's fun, I'd describe it as. I've noticed that Prestiges at the higher price point with the stainless steel frets and all that, the necks on these feel thicker, but this is super close. So it might just be a fluke. It depends who's working at the factory that day. Of course, the all-access neck joint is fantastic. No surprises there. It's overall that Ibanez playing experience you would expect. And so commenting on the wood too, the body is made of ash. And so in terms of playability and feel, this guitar is just light enough that it is super fun to pick it up, put it in your lap, play a little bit, put it down, go do what you're supposed to be doing, come back, play it some more. And that's exactly what I've been doing with this guitar. Sure, I'll practice with it some, but a lot of the time whenever I walk past it, I'll just pick it up, do some noodling, put it down. And it's also a very easy guitar to pick up and play after a long day of work, after your nerves are shot. I've thrown out my back this week. That's been super fun, but this guitar being just a little bit lighter has made me pick it up more. Because the mahogany body guitars are cool, and I'm not saying this is like ultra super lighter than those, but every ounce counts. And that's also true if you're doing long sets, playing standing up, performances, things like that. Of course, I'm not saying it's as light as an S-Series guitar, but if you're looking for a guitar that has the RG body shape, you know, the flat top and back with the belly cut, with the forearm carve right there, if you're not looking for something that has that kind of arch top and back, it is a good alternative, although this guitar is lighter. And I'm not saying the basswood or mahogany RGs are unusable. I'm not saying they're giant boat anchors. But if you play those a lot, then you pick up one of these, you kind of do notice the difference. Aside from that, though, just the typical RG stuff. You've got 24 frets, so you can access them all. It's very nice. This, of course, has the nickel silver frets. It doesn't have the stainless steel, which I personally prefer. The stainless steel, I like the feel of the smoothness. I like how that plays, but it's not the end of the world. These are just fine. And if you actually prefer the nickel frets, that's fine too. These are tools for our trade. We're trying to make music. And if you find something that works for you, that's great. The lower horn, of course, doesn't have a kind of carve or a contour on it. So if you're playing super thumb behind the neck like this, it is theoretically possible to hit your hand on the back of the lower horn, but in practice, that doesn't happen for me. All right, let's talk about the sound of this guitar real quick. Now, of course, I have changed out the pickups. I think, come to think of it, this is the last guitar I did a pickup change on. It came with the DiMarzio Tone Zone Air Norton, pretty typical for an Ibanez. And I replaced them with the DiMarzio Activators. I'd play them a lot when I was gigging, like over 10 years ago now. It's been a while. But I was nostalgic for these pickups, and I have Ibanez with the Tone Zone Air Norton already. So I went for something different. I have a video where I documented changing these. So I've got the before and after sound clips on that. I'll link it in the description. But I can say with this guitar, with the pickups it came with, it was just slightly a little brighter than other guitars I had with the Tone Zone Air Norton. And I don't know if that's because of the body being made of ash or because of just the way the circuitry is. Maybe these potentiometers had some variance to them in their true values. Who knows? Discussing tone wood is outside of the scope of this video. But the sound with these is fine. I don't plan on changing these out. I don't plan really on putting the original pickups back in. These get the job done. If I was going to go back in time, would I change the pickups in this again? And I don't think so. Over the years, I've grown to like the Tone Zone Air Norton a lot. Back then, I didn't like it all that much. But these are still good too, and they work with my plugin presets I've made perfectly fine. If I was forced to use this guitar and this guitar only for my recording, for any performances I was going to do, for practice, I would be okay with how this sounds. So overall, is this guitar worth it? Now, this guitar today costs $1,750 US. And the hardtail version, you save about $100. So that's quite a price tag, especially in this day and age where it doesn't have stainless steel frets, if that matters to you. So to answer the question, I'd say if you don't mind not having an all-axis neck joint, you could go ahead and pick up a Genesis. You can see here it has the tilt joint or whatever it's called here too, which it isn't the end of the world. Obviously, it doesn't have that perfect fret axis of the all-axis neck joint. But you can still reach the 24th fret, especially if you have your guitar high enough or if you're used to it. You save a bunch of money, even with how much these cost now. That's money for other stuff, pickups if you want, software, pedals. Do I like this guitar? And I'd say yes. It looks good, it's fun to play, it sounds pretty good, and I've had my fun modifying it. I know it is a pretty common thing to change the pickups in an Ibanez. I wouldn't be too upset if this was my only guitar, although it isn't my first choice. It's also not my last choice. In my case especially, if I need a guitar where I'm really trying to nail some difficult shred part and I need just a little lower action, I'll pick up one of my better playing guitars. Again, not to say that this plays bad by any means. But if I only had this guitar, I feel like I could get the job done. Maybe it would take me a few extra takes. If there's anything I would change about this guitar, it would be just the fret wire material. I would rather personally prefer stainless steel frets. I like the durability and the smoothness. And I'd also prefer locking tuners on this too. This has the non-locking tuners. And I know a lot of guys out there, they dislike locking tuners. They say it adds extra mass to the headstock. A lot of people think it's redundant to have a locking nut and locking tuners. I personally like locking tuners because it makes string changes just that much easier. And this guitar is plenty well balanced. You're not going to have any issues if you switch out the tuners. Now, would I buy this guitar again today? And the answer is no. It's not because I hate this guitar, I like this guitar, but the price doesn't really make too much sense to me. I'd either save a bunch of money and get the Genesis, because I think I could live with not having the all-axis neck joint. Or I would spend a bit more and get one of the prestige models that does have the stainless steel frets. Ibanez does seem to give more attention to the more expensive models, but I have had Prestiges that have had issues like wiring, neck alignment, which, by the way, if you're shopping for an Ibanez, make sure that the high E string isn't too close to the edge of the neck. Some of them have that problem. And then when you get to playing it and you do your vibrato, your string will fall off. It'll go right off the edge of the fretboard. This one doesn't have that problem though. But what do you think? Do you like this guitar? Would you rather have the fixed bridge version, or would you rather have a different made in Japan Ibanez? Be sure to comment down below. Of course, this is YouTube, so I have to say the YouTube things. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, print out every frame and mail it. Join the Discord. If you're looking for something cool to listen to, check out my music. I do some video game covers. I do some original songs. I even recently released 3 Baroque-inspired songs. So if you like neoclassical guitar, things like that, check them out. And hey, as always, peace.